Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're talking Eirlys, the new epic gathering hero just released. In today's video, we'll talk about how you get Eirlys, how you level her up, and what her skills do. Alright, so sit back and relax as we talk about another gathering hero. Alright, so the first question that we have is how do we get Eirlys? If you look in the patch notes, you'll see you get here from the Forest Protector event. This is just like the rename, reskinned event you use to get Flint or Eliana. So what you do is you go into your inventory here. If you have the old abandoned puppet dolls, these will work fine. Same thing with the revenge plans. You summon a little army here, you rally it. Each time you win a rally, you'll get between 0 and 3 forest friend chests. You open these up, and each chest gives you one token of your choice between Eliana or Flint, or the new hero Eirlys here. Once you have 10 of those tokens, you can summon Eirlys just as you normally would. Okay, so let's go over her skills. Her first skill, Dizzy Bloom, this is her rage skill. Nothing particularly fancy or impressive here. It does a damage factor of 600, okay, that's not much. And also puts a debuff of an attack reduction of minus 15% for 3 seconds on your target. Okay, now the good thing about this is it does have an attack range of very far, so you can use Eirlys with any unit and it'll work just fine. The downside is a 600 damage factor, that's nothing. And if you're thinking about using her as like a debuff march, a 15% attack reduction just isn't worth it. I don't think she has any real PvP application. This is purely a gathering hero. Her second skill is kind of fun, Mocking Maze. This basically makes it so when you have her gathering in a node, she can put a dot on the enemy attacking her. Ticking dot does a damage factor of only 20, so not very much, until you realize it lasts for a full 2 minutes, right? Every second for a full 2 minutes, they get a ticking dot of 20 damage factor, provided you have Eirlys maxed out here. That's kind of fun. Now, a couple things about this dot. First of all, it only applies in melee range. If someone hits your gatherers from range, they use mages or archers or whatever, this dot cannot trigger, so they have to be in melee range with you. The second thing is, if the enemy gets a dot, they basically can't clear it by going into a resource node. The only way you can clear it, as far as I can tell, is basically going into a city. So it is kind of persistent. And if you have Eirlys, like, deep in your lines gathering and, some enemy cav or raiding your farmers or whatever, and they come up and hit Eirlys, they will probably trigger this dot and, they can't easily get back to their cities. So this is kind of just a nice little annoying factor to punish enemies raiding your farmers. The other thing about Mocking Maze is a lot of gatherers will take a talent towards the top of the talent tree called Leeway. And basically what Leeway does is when you get hit when you're in a gathering node, you automatically recall your troops. And then if you get the follow-on talent Joyful Labor, you're basically invulnerable for a few seconds after you start the recall. So the thing with Leeway, though, is if you take this with Eirlys and she gets hit in the gathering node, she's going to recall immediately, which means the chances of her getting, Mocking Maze off are pretty slow. So it is an interesting choice when you build her out, whether you want to take that talent or not. Okay, Mocking Maze, kind of fun, but that's not the real reason you get Eirlys. The real reason you get her is her third and fourth skills, because these are the holistic skills. Hey, and just a reminder, what's a holistic skill? It's a skill that applies to all your legions all the time, regardless of who the commander is, right? Once you have these unlocked, even if you have Eirlys on the bench, you're going to get the benefit from her third and fourth skills, right? These are not particularly, groundbreaking here. Her third skill, Overgrowth, just increases overall gathering speed and wood gathering speed. And her fourth skill just increases your load capacity and even more load capacity if you use those workhorse, those donkey units. Okay, the one interesting thing about both of these skills is you'll see as you level them up, you get an additional bonus if you awaken Eirlys to these skills, right? Now, it's just an additional couple percentage here, but both of these skills have additional holistic bonus once you awaken Eirlys. Okay, let's talk about her awaken skill, because that is pretty good. Her awaken skill gives you an additional 10% resources if you gather nodes within your alliance territory, all right? So it's kind of like Flint, but not quite as good as Flint, because Flint gives you that 10% period, whereas Eirlys only works on resource nodes once you finish them in your alliance territory. Now, the other side of Eirlys' awakened skill is if you're outside alliance territory and you get hit, you take 20% less sev wounds. Okay, that's nice. I'm more interested in the 10% resource boost, provided that I'm doing it within my territory and I finish the node. That's pretty good. And of course, the other benefit of her awakened skill is you get that additional, few percent bonus on both timber and overgrowth, right? Her awakened skill is not holistic. So while you do get the bonuses to these two skills, you don't get that 10% bonus unless you have Eirlys awakened and in the march. That means Eirlys is effectively your second best gathering hero. I think Flint is still better because it applies everywhere. But Eirlys is your second best gathering hero, and you do want to skill her up as quickly as possible. Now, the issue with skilling her up is they kind of fixed the issue they had with Flint. You notice here there's no exchange button over here. You cannot use generic purple heads to skill up Eirlys. Now, obviously, you can do it with those rallies as we discussed before. You can also get her heads through the tavern chest, so you'll get them over time. And in addition to that, your daily challenges, you can get a couple Eirlys tokens from there. Okay, so how do we build Eirlys out? It's actually pretty similar to most gathering heroes, but there is one important distinction that I'll talk about later on. So at the start here, obviously we take Earth's Grace, no choice there. Then I want the march speed above the attack bonus. Gathering heroes don't need an attack bonus. I love gathering speed. I'm getting that any chance I can. Obviously, we have to take that. And then I'm going up the gathering tree. We get Earth's Grace Part 2. No big deal there. First level, do we want march speed? March speed's okay. Or do I want gathering speed? I'd rather have gathering speed. So it comes down to gold gathering speed or wood gathering speed. Now, her skills encourage wood gathering, but her skills are holistic. So she doesn't need to be specialized one way or the other. It just depends on what you need more of, gold or wood. I tend to need wood more, so that's where I'm going here. Okay, the next level, I think there probably is a right answer here. Load capacity is not a big deal. Load capacity helps if you don't have enough donkeys, but if you have a mature account, load capacity just means you have to send a few less donkeys, which is not something you care about. Or gather speed, that's okay. Or mana gathering speed, yes please, let's get the mana gathering speed. I always need more mana. Okay, the next level, we get either Quick Harvest, which increases our gather speed by 20% at the cost of a 10% load capacity reduction. Load capacity reduction is not a big deal. It just means you send 500 more donkeys. I got plenty of those. The other choice is more load capacity at a 10% damage reduction. I don't really care about the damage reduction with gathering heroes. I don't need the load capacity. I love the gather speed. Let's do that. Next level, kind of bad choices here. We get either maximum legion capacity for a gathering hero, I don't care, or less sev wounds. Once again, if I'm using these with donkeys, I don't care about sev wounds on donkeys. Like I'm kind of incentivized to resource heal donkeys every season anyway, so I don't really care about this. Or march speed. I mean, march speed's not amazing, but it is the best choice here, so we're doing that. Okay, the next level, we have gather speed, and I am going to get that. But just keep in mind that the level beyond this, they're locked behind two sort of walls here. So if you want to get Joyful Labor, you have to max out Leeway. And if you want to get Undeterred, you have to max out overall load capacity. So we go to the third level, and since I only have one choice, I am going to take Earth's Grace again. Like, I don't really need a ton of experience at this point, but I guess I'm going to save experience books by just leveling her up through gathering, so that's fine as well. And she's a gathering hero. I'm not really in a hurry to level her up as quickly as possible. Okay, the top level here, you definitely want Windfall. That is the right choice here. The other answer here is Lay of the Land, which when you finish a node, it basically increases production in your city for an hour. I don't like that. I'd rather have Windfall. Just get the little bonus anytime I finish a resource node off. Okay. Now, at this point, with any other gathering hero, what I would do is I'd max out Leeway and then I'd max out Joyful Labor. So if my gathering heroes get hit, they instantly recall and they have like basically 10 seconds to try and get away. That is good for every other gathering hero. But remember, Eirlys has that interesting talent which punishes people for hitting her when she's gathering. I don't know how good that's going to be, but I want to try it for a season at least. For this season, I am not taking Leeway. If you take Leeway, she's basically not going to be able to get that skill off very often. And so for one season at least, I'm going to try not giving her Leeway and seeing how it works out. Okay, so what do I do with my extra points? Well, I have a couple ways to increase her gather speed for both gold and ore, so let's do that. Why not? March speed's pretty good. Let's grab that. And then I got 2 points left over. With these last 2 points, not a lot of great choices. I can increase load capacity. I don't care. I can reduce 7 wounds. I don't care. Legion capacity. So I decided, why not just get a little additional overall health for my units? Make those donkeys last a little better when I'm laying that trap. Alright, and so that's Eirlys. I don't think she has much real PvP application. Obviously, she's a gathering hero. Her holistic skills are very good. You want to get them up as quickly as possible. And she does get a big bonus when awakened, so you want to get her skills up as quickly as you can. Her fun skill, the second skill, Mocking Maze, I don't know how good it is, but you know what? I'm going to give it a try this season. And, maybe we can annoy those cav balls that are raiding our farms, just a little bit. And hey, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.